Hi everyone, welcome to That Psychology podcast where I explore the challenges we often face in our 20s, their psychological background, and how to navigate them. The goal is to better understand ourselves, our emotions, our identity, personality, relationships, and the way our brains work, and in turn, to better understand others. So my name is Paula, and I'm a psychology student at the University of Amsterdam. I'm in my 20s myself. I'm not a professional psychologist, just so you know, and this isn't any professional guidance. I'm just exploring the journey of figuring things out myself and sharing what I'm learning along the way. Hey guys, welcome back to That Psychology podcast. So today I want to share a story my psychology professor once told us during a lecture on depression. She talked about Dr. Jane Goodall, who recently passed away, by the way. May you rest in peace, Dr. Goodall. And her research on chimpanzees in the wild. And what she found is that chimpanzees are incredibly active when they need to be. They gather food, they take care of their young, they navigate their environment, but at the end of the day, they always rest. And they gather with their group, they sit, they relax, they naturally know how to pause. Now here's the thing. We humans, despite being so closely related to chimpanzees, seem to have forgotten this simple rhythm. We push through endlessly and often we neglect rest. And this forgetting is one of the things that can contribute to mental distress and lead to depression in modern society. So today let's talk about rest. So when we think about rest, the first thing that may come to our minds is, well, what do you think? You guessed it. It's sleep. But sleep and rest are fundamentally different concepts in psychology. Sleep can be defined as a state of partial or total suspension of consciousness, voluntary muscle inhibition, and relative insensitivity to stimulation. Also, during sleep, there are specific changes in brainwave activity, breathing, heart rate, body temperature, and other physiological functions. It's much harder, though, to find the definition of rest in psychology. We can agree that rest is a much broader concept and it encompasses sleep as well. One research paper defines rest as an experience of harmony concerning one's feelings, actions, and motivation. Rest happens when one's needs correspond to the shape and character of the environment. Sandra Dalton Smith, in her book, Sacred Rest, Recover Your Life, Renew Your Energy, Restore Your Sanity, identified 7 types of rest. Now, let's go through them one by one to present a clearer picture of types of rest. So, the first type is physical rest. And physical rest is about what your body needs physically. There are 2 types of physical rest, passive and active. Passive rest means sleeping, taking a nap, and active rest is about restorative activities for the body, such as massage, stretching, yoga, whatever helps relax your muscles. And some signs that you need more physical rest are mainly fatigue, so you actually didn't sleep well, and it can also be feeling that your body is sore. If you do find yourself feeling physically drained, you can work on your sleep schedule, for example, to be more consistent. If you're sore, take breaks from sitting and do some light stretching. Change position from sitting to standing while working on the computer. The second type of rest is mental rest. And mental rest, I think, from all the types of rest, they are all important, but mental rest, I do think, is one of the most important ones. So mental rest is the type of rest where you quiet your mind and switch from more complex thinking, like analyzing, planning, studying, to a more low-effort thinking. So it's like giving your mind a chance to slow down and stop analyzing for a while. You may need mental rest if you easily lose focus, if you feel a cognitive overload of information, so TMI, too much information at once, because your brain needs some time to process all the information that it's getting. Or also if your thoughts are constantly racing, for example, before you go to sleep. So how do we recharge mentally, so to say? When studying, working, remember to take breaks. And by taking a break, I mean without your phone, without social media, because that's when you get tons of information from your phone. This is like the source of information. Social media, your phone, in general, notifications. So it's best to take a break without technology. You can get some drink, some food, and take a short walk. Also, if you study or work in a group, at our university at least, we have card games like Uno, which you can borrow and play. We also have foosball, table tennis, and I honestly think this is a great way to relax. Because when we play, endorphins, so hormones which relieve pain and boost our mood, are released. And this has a positive effect on our brain and mental rest. So playful activities like board games, creative activities, they help quiet the mind and redirect attention from negative racing thoughts. Now, American Institute for Play also says that play promotes creativity and problem solving. And regular social, physical, and mental engagement in play can improve our memory, which is great, obviously, when we think of working or studying. That's what we want. We want better memory, better problem solving. Another solution to recharge ourselves mentally can be mindfulness. Mindfulness can be described as being in a kind relationship with oneself during rest. And in practice, it involves being fully present and aware of your surroundings. And it includes breathing methods, guided imagery, and other practices. Studies have shown that you can train your mind with mindfulness to quiet the racing thoughts during breaks, creating calmer background mind activity that reduces exhaustion from too much thinking. Also, many studies show that meditation and mindfulness can significantly lower our fatigue scores. Mindfulness also reduces our stress levels and helps fight overthinking. So it delivers a truly mentally restful experience. Another type of rest is emotional rest. Emotional rest is the type of rest you get when you can truly express your feelings. It's about letting go of the need to people please and the pressure to keep up a good appearance. So if you feel like you need to hide your true feelings, true thoughts from someone, you say, "I'm fine" when asked, "How are you?" even when you're not fine. Or you carry a heavy emotional burden, for example, a heartbreak. You, for example, have bad blood with someone, for example, at work. You feel some kind of resentment towards someone. This is all emotional burden. And we are all social creatures, and evolutionarily, we relied on good social connections to survive, right? One for all for one. So can you imagine the amount of stress that this emotional pressure has on you? And when we are stressed, our bodies actually react in the same way to stress as they react to infection. Our immune system is activated even though there is no infection. So it is especially important to take care of our emotional rest because it can have health consequences for us which are negative. So one way to emotionally rest is simply spending time with people with whom you feel like you can be yourself, you can trust them, you don't have to fake it. They love you for who you are, you feel safe venting off to them, like it's not affecting them negatively. And I think when I'm talking about it, you can think of at least one person in your life that you can feel safe talking to and expressing yourself truly with. So this is your guy. This is your person. But also seeing a mental health professional and talking about your feelings with them, that can also help. Express emotions through creative writing, journaling, dancing, singing, and ultimately set healthy boundaries and say no when you feel it's necessary. The next type of rest is social rest. And social rest is about prioritizing relationships that energize and uplift you while spending less time among people or situations that drain your energy. Also, scheduling some time for yourself. If you don't get enough of this rest, you feel socially drained and can feel that you spend more time with people who take than those who give. You feel lonely even when you're surrounded by people, or you feel like you need to recharge your social batteries. So, how do we recharge these batteries? Well, first of all, choose to hang out with people who support you, bring out the best in you, and there is balance between this giving and taking when it comes to energy. Limit the time when you hang out with those who drain your energy. Try to commit some time for one-on-one connections that feel meaningful to you. And additionally, allow yourself some alone time to cherish the most important relationship in your life, the one with yourself. Another type of rest is sensory rest. Sensory rest is when we rest from stimuli such as bright lights, notifications from our phones, loud sounds, which affect our senses. It's very typical nowadays to get a sensory overload, especially when you live in a city. A lot of activities nowadays require us to use technology, if you think of it, to either work, study, produce entertainment, even like Netflix, for instance. This all requires technology, and our screen time gets out of control sometimes, and we need a break from these sensory stimuli, it seems. One of the signs you may need a sensory rest is being irritated by bright light or noise, or you feel tired looking at your phone. Also, physical symptoms can occur like headaches. You just want peace and quiet, so that's how your body reacts. To relax our senses, we should turn off our notifications from devices, turn off our phone for a while even, sit by yourself in a quiet, dimly lit room. Read a book. You can also go outside, get some fresh air, look into the distance, so far away, instead of just giving a short-sighted gaze you give your phone. And I do think sensory rest is like one of the types of rest that we may need, especially nowadays, because sensory overload happens more now than it used to before, because technology right now is much more developed, obviously. So I think this kind of rest is really good to take into account. Okay, so we have two more types of rest, and the next one is creative rest. Creative rest is about awakening your sense of creativity. So signs you're not getting enough creative rest can include feeling uninspired, your work feels too monotonous or boring, or you struggle to think outside of the box. And some ways that you can recharge your creative batteries can be engaging in creative hobbies for fun, like baking, painting, visiting an art gallery, some other place where you find inspiration, allowing yourself to daydream, or if you are working on something creative and you feel stuck, take a break from it and come back to it with fresh eyes. Personally, I sometimes need some creative rest for this podcast to come up with fresh ideas on what to explore, because this is my creative project. And I found inspiration for this episode during one of my dance classes when my teacher said, our bodies crave rest in winter season. And what we do is, during this winter period when we need rest, we do the opposite, the complete opposite. We go out shopping for Black Friday, we get stressed, and we are caught up in this whole consumption wave. So I found inspiration there, and I think sometimes inspiration can come from totally unexpected places. It doesn't have to be connected to what you're doing professionally even, and you just need to be there, and you just need to follow your curiosity. Last but not least, we have spiritual rest, and that's about the ability to connect to something bigger than yourself, whether it's religious, like connecting to God, to Mother Earth, so to nature, or to your purpose in life. If you're not getting enough spiritual rest, you can question your purpose in life. You may feel disconnected or like life lacks meaning. You feel a sense of emptiness or isolation from a greater sense of belonging. And the solution for this is not a one-size-fits-all, like it is in sensory rest, for example. Here, it's up to you to decide what works best for you, what your values are. Engage in a spiritual practice such as a prayer, meditation, volunteer for a cause that's important to you, reflect on your values and align your actions with them. Here's the thing. Your values may not be reflected in the actions that what you do in daily life. And that's deeply personal. And perhaps that's why it's so valuable and can maybe be overlooked at times. So this spiritual rest definitely should be taken into account. Okay, so now that we went through all of the types of rest, you can even take a personal rest assessment, aka a rest quiz, to see what type of rest you currently need in your life. I pasted the link under the description of the episode for you. Cross-culturally, people also have specific rest practices, which I found interesting and I want to share with you. So, for example, in Spain, people have a tradition of sobremesa, which is a rest after a meal where families or friends stay at the table, simply talking, sharing their feelings, connecting. And it's a culturally accepted time to unwind emotionally, reflect on the day, feel supported by others. And I think this can be seen as an emotional rest. In Denmark, there is a well-known concept of hygge. I think that's how it's pronounced. And hygge is about taking time to relax and enjoy life's quieter pleasures, often with close friends, sharing meals and celebrating small joys. And this can be regarded as social rest because you spend time with people that energize you, with your closest ones. Or you cherish a time by yourself so you can recharge the social batteries. In Japan, on the other hand, there's a practice known as Shinrin-yoku, or forest bathing, which involves immersing yourself in nature by mindfully using all 5 senses in a forest. This provides a truly unique sensory rest. In native Hawaiian culture, Ho'oponopono is an ancient Hawaiian spiritual practice which involves learning to heal all things by accepting total responsibility for everything that surrounds us. Confession, repentance, and reconciliation. And there are a lot more of these, which only shows us how important rest is for humans, regardless of where our origin is. It's universal. If there is one thing I hope you take away from today, it's that rest is not always passive. It's an active, intentional way of honoring your needs. We live in a world that celebrates hustle, but forgets to celebrate healing. So pause for a moment, check in with yourself. Which form of rest is calling your name? What do you think? And you can check it by taking the rest quiz I attached in the description of the episode. I'm very curious. I'm also going to take it. It takes 5 to 10 minutes and it gives you the answer of what you may need at the moment. If you feel like sharing your quiz results or your own experiences with rest, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. That's it for today's episode. If this episode inspired you, a 5-star rating goes a long way in helping others find it too. And as always, if you have questions or topics you'd love me to explore next, just reach out in the comments. I'm always curious.